Larry.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Alex. Wow, Alex has the gaming headset on. So do we.
Yeah. I'm at the setup.
I love it. What's going on, guys?
Well, good, man. You? How's things your side?
Doing well. I feel like I should put some gaming headphones on. I feel a little left out.
Bro, if I didn't have to wear these, I wouldn't. They're massive.
I decided against it, and I feel like I need to go back and change.
Oh, good. Well, first and foremost, guys, thank you for hopping on. I know it's a weekend, although all the days are definitely kind of starting to blend together, so I don't even know if it's a weekend or not. But really excited to have all of you guys. Know all of you, most of you really, really well. Others, I'm getting to know you guys. I'm really excited about, and I'm excited about this panel because I think we kind of alluded to it in the intro, but the gaming industry is in a really interesting place right now. In that it hasn't really been too negatively affected. It's kind of been the opposite. There's just been a huge influx of events and IP and just really cool things coming about, and a lot of it's been very philanthropic, and it's just a really interesting time, really interesting place. So I thought that this group would be really well equipped to just kind of speak about everything that's going on with COVID-19 and the sort of its relation to the gaming industry. So I think it'd probably be best, for the audience if you guys want to just introduce yourselves and talk about why, what you do in gaming and why you guys are on a panel about COVID-19 in the gaming industry. And we can start, I don't know if you guys can all see the screen, but if we want to just go like Larry, Alex, Zeno, Brett.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having me on the panel. Excited to be here. So thanks very much. So my company, 38 Entertainment Group, was founded by myself and my partner, Jonathan. We saw a lot of athletes wanting to enter the esports space, but not really sure how to. So we created, our company created tailor-made solutions for athletes wanting to enter the esports space, where we co-own and run the team with the particular athlete. We've initially launched with our first esports team with in Wales. The team's called 11s. We co-own it with him. We initially started with the FIFA team. We currently ranked number 2 in the world with our FIFA team, which is great. And then we've acquired a Rocket League team from South America who have just finished the season unbeaten and are ranked number 1 in South America. Obviously, we look at different opportunities from also running tournaments and different sort of aspects of the esports space. So that's sort of what our company does.
Awesome. My name is Alex Rubens. Thanks for having me. I lead team operations for Kroenke Sports Ent. Specifically, that's our teams in Overwatch League and Call of Duty League right now. We have the LA Gladiators and the LA Gorillas. So both LAG teams, which funnily enough is an acronym for LAG, which we've been experiencing a lot of now that the leagues have shifted online. But happy to be here.
Cool. So my name is Dwayne Jackson, but everybody basically calls me Zeno. Used to be a former Call of Duty pro, but I'm the director of esports at Slam Basketball, traditionally the Slam magazine. About a year ago, I joined Slam to kind of give them a presence in the gaming space, which started with just, Instagram, social, Twitter, just kind of curating clips and showcasing like our casual gaming audience, like this wide range of, gaming experiences. And then recently, since, pandemic and COVID, I've been running the Slam Call of Duty tournament every weekend, which we're on our 5th weekend now, I think, where we just basically take a bunch of athletes, put them together, and we all play 6v6 Call of Duty against each other for about 3 hours. So, yeah, it's really fun.
Zeno, appreciate you hopping in on tournament day, bro.
Yeah, man. Hey, bro, I'll be getting right before the game. Don't worry about it.
I was doing a little research. I saw you just got $500 from 2 different people on PayPal. So
yeah, man.
Nice
shout
job.
out to Josh Hart, man, for betting against me. It's always a great time. So appreciate him.
It was nasty. So I feel like I'm like the OG of the group. Brett Claywell. I come from a life in front of camera, and about 10 years ago shifted to gaming. 2011 hosted E3, co-hosted E3 with Taryn Southern. I launched a brand with my partners called Sticks Gaming in 2010. We did our first celebrity gaming for a charity event in 2011 with Snoop Dogg and and Zac Efron and Chris Evans and Michael Strahan, et cetera. So we were doing a lot of gaming events, celebrity gaming events in the 2011 and 12. What people probably know that company now as better as Tiltify. We pivoted and launched Tiltify in 2014 to capitalize on the live streaming industry, and are incredibly grateful that we've been such a powerful resource during this pandemic as well as before. Seeing incredible growth and activity, and are just really excited that we can help so many people raise so much money for so many incredible causes.
Amazing. I love it. Well, appreciate it, guys. Again, awesome backgrounds, and I think really applicable to kind of what we're talking about. So really appreciate it. Larry, I want to start with you. I know
Sure.
that for your sort of traditional business model that you guys do is you create esports teams with athletes. The first one being Gareth Bale. You guys had a really awesome event that you recently threw where you totally kind of cut through the noise. It was one of the better produced, largest charity streams that I saw. It was called Combat Corona. So just kind of talk a little bit about, one, how that fits into your business model, how it came about, and just kind of that experience of throwing a charity event.
Sure. So I think for everybody who doesn't know what Combat Corona was, it was a charity live stream with we had 10 footballers from around the world, the likes of Gareth Bale, Paulo Dybala, Luke Shaw, Ruben Loftus. We had a number of hosts on the stream, the likes of Castro, Spencer Owen. So I don't think there's been a FIFA stream with so many footballers and so many big hosts on one sort of stream. We managed to partner up with UNICEF to raise some funds for the fight against Corona. And sort of, we had the footballers playing against each other, created some great content through that, and saw some different opportunities that presented themselves to us through the initiative. Football clubs are still looking to engage with the audience during this time. Everybody's locked in at home. The players aren't playing football. There's no sports on TV. So I think there's been a massive spotlight on the esports industry. And for ourselves, basically for 38 Entertainment, there's opportunity here where clubs have come to us and we want to sort of create esports tournaments with their players so they can engage with their fans, and the fans have content to watch while they're at home. So that's sort of where it's taken us at the moment. That's
awesome. I feel like, Zeno is kind of a natural transition. You guys did something really similar with basketball players, really. So, Larry kind of hit on sports not happening, athletes being at home with nothing to do. Just kind of talk about how the Slam Celebrity Tournament came about and how sort of it's grown.
Yeah, so it literally came about a few months ago. We did the first ever Slam digital cover, which featured Ben Simmons and FaZe Temper on the cover, which is really cool. We had a pop-up at the NBA All-Star game, which was also awesome. So right when everything started to kind of happen, me and Ben were just playing Call of Duty together. And there were all these Warzone tournaments going on and everything. And me and Ben Simmons, and we were just like, hey, what if we just made a tournament and we started playing I don't know, it's one streamer per team against NBA players, something like that. And we were just like, yeah, let's give it a shot. So the first weekend kind of just started as, I don't want to say a joke, but we're just like, all right, let's just see how it goes. And then everybody just had so much fun. We played 7 games. That first time we went through all 7 games until the last games, and it was just super close. Since then, it's just really exploded with just tons of NBA players and NFL players, MLB players reaching out to get involved because it's a very organic environment. It's not like we're not trying to sell anything. We're not trying to push anything. It's just everybody talking and having fun and enjoying themselves, which is what makes it so real and unique. It's really everybody in their natural habitat. There's honestly tons of cursing, tons of just shit talk. It's sometimes not the best, but it really works. And the guys, everyone who's been in the tournament has taken a lot of pride in who's invited every week because they want it to be balanced and competitive. These guys are athletes, they love the competitive side of things. So we're just really trying to stay true to that and keep expanding with our tournaments and events.
That's awesome. Brett, the industry has sort of always been philanthropic. That's one of the really cool things I've noticed about gaming is how tight-knit the community is, how giving back is really kind of essential. But it feels like in the past month or so, it's just kind of exploded. So just kind of talk about what that's meant for Tiltify and how you guys have adapted to it.
Well, I would say that the gaming industry has always been philanthropic. I think the world is just now noticing. there's something that's really authentic about gamers. There's a community there where live streaming has kind of sometimes thrown a negative light on this, but for the most part, it's a very welcoming community. It's a community where you're allowed to be yourself. It interacts, it's gaming is kind of what hip hop was in the 80s. It's a place where outcasts can come feel accepted for whatever they love, whether or not it's Mario Brothers or Call of Duty. And I think what we've allowed and seen is that a lot more of the non-endemic gaming world is starting to take notice. It's, I think research would prove this. The gaming community is one of the most philanthropic and altruistic communities in the world. They rally around and support each other and support causes that are important. So I think things like Fight to Fund and Combat Corona, I think there's going to be a lot more opportunities of this as brands start to take awareness and the world starts to realize that you can entertain and also create impact through gaming.
Matt's computer went down, but I'm here to say that.
Great,
Brett. We've been working together on some cool campaigns. One of them being Myers' Hammer Classic Invitational, where he's raising money for Feeding America, and
he's a very aggressive fundraiser.
Very, and I think we got thrown into that with limited knowledge around like this strategy that goes into putting together an effective fundraiser. And you think like, oh, I know how to work Tiltify. I could set up Tiltify. And then you started talking about all the ways in which we can incentivize the viewers and the chat and how we can create milestones, and ultimately like came up with a really interesting program where Myers had to do some crazy things at each milestone. But talk about how your new venture, Humble House, really works with celebrities and personalities in order to put together those strategies.
Yeah, so I mean, like I said, the roots of this come because had a lot of relationships in front of camera and started to convert those into gaming a decade ago. And the rise of live streaming has created this opportunity for greater verticals of entertainment. We've done a lot in gaming. I think there's a lot of attention in gaming, but I think there's live streaming is, what we say at Humble House is podcast is the rebirth of radio and live streaming is the reinvention of television. So gaming is one modicum that I think celebrities, entertainers are finding their voice and being able to broadcast their brand. But I think there's multiple other levels of that. And that's what Humble House is beginning to explore is what are the ways that we can amplify a celebrity's message and brand in a positive way, using content to create social change and impact. I think that's one thing that Tiltify was built for. We kind of took apart the Jerry Lewis telethon model, something that taught us and we used to build Tiltify was that there's a difference between entertaining an audience and converting an audience to be a donor. That's what we talked about, Sean, is all of the different levels of entertaining an audience, but getting them to engage and participate and interact. That's the beauty of live streaming. I think that's the beauty of gaming because it is such a collective activity. So Humble House is just expanding on that and working with people to build out different verticals of entertainment that are on brand for them.
Cool. Sorry, guys. I had some computer troubles. Literally, Sean and I pulled a switcheroo, but we're good now.
Good.
Actually, very well done on our part. Alex, I want to chat sort of about you're in a unique situation because everyone here has kind of been talking about how with the coronavirus their businesses have exploded and become more necessary and obviously gaming as far as content creation and streaming we're all at home, there's not much else to do, but you're part of a league infrastructure with physical events and spectators and stuff like that. So just kind of talk about what this experience has been like for you on the team side and just where everyone's heads at surrounding like Call of Duty League and stuff.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it's been very difficult, very different than a lot of the other like thriving opportunities, but we definitely do have a unique opportunity here. I won't say we don't, but when you're specifically bought in on leagues that are built around putting on your home events in your market, it's a little bit of a bummer. So we ended up canceling both of our Overwatch home series, along with the entire league's home series getting canceled. So a little bit of a bummer there, but it's given us a new opportunity to try to figure out how we can create different stuff, different ways for our fans to engage, right? Whether that's digital watch parties instead of the normal watch parties that we do, and giving them better tools to host that stuff themselves. So that's been both good and bad. And then from a team perspective, at least, we were in a very unique situation because our Overwatch team was actually supposed to play in Korea and then 3 different areas of China in March. So we were in Korea when everything sort of hit the fan. Wow. And had to figure out how to get everyone home in a way that was timely, ensured that they were safe and didn't get stuck anywhere. So we essentially found out that it wasn't going to get better over there, and gave the guys 2 hours to pack their stuff and head to the airport, and got them all back. Unfortunately, it's not as easy from there as like, oh, now just go self-quarantine, because it's, 12 people living in a house together. It makes it a little hard to self-quarantine when you share a house with that many other people. But we put some good systems in place, and I think it's been a good test of how we can be more prepared for things like this. Obviously, it's impossible to prepare for something like this, as we've seen, but trying to set up good systems and equip our guys in ways that we know that we can pivot when we need to. I think that's been really good.
And obviously, not being able to do the home series and stuff like that hurts, but gaming by nature is still it's digitally native, right? So it's not like, NBA where there's just no hope really. Like, you guys can figure out ways around it. They can still create gaming content.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, our leagues, both of them switched to online in the last month. So Call of Duty started up this last weekend. Overwatch has been going for a couple weeks. A few kinks to work out, but figuring out the wonkiness is better than not playing at all. And then we've also been able to do more stuff like Warzone. There was a live from Warzone activation earlier this week where 2 of our players played with Paul George and Baron Davis for a couple hours, which was pretty cool, and something that we probably, if we had asked them to do that during the regular season, they would have told us to get lost. So it was pretty nice to be able to have that opportunity. And I think it shows like good ways to bring in more and more guys into what we're doing. And if we can plan around that stuff a lot better in the future, hopefully this gave the players a good opportunity of, it's not that much time, it's only 2 hours. We could probably be doing this even when this is all over.
Yeah. Alex, you kind of alluded to it, but just this is kind of a question for the whole panel. But what do you guys see as like the silver lining, in this current situation that, when we emerge from this, what are some positives that we could take?
So I think from our side, there's definitely been a major spotlight shined on esports, obviously with no sports going on in the world. It's forced, brands and, the rest of the world to sort of have a look at esports and see what an entertaining, competitive, and exciting sort of space it is. So I think that's a real big positive from our sort of side.
I think for the whole community as a whole and just the gaming industry in general, I think this all happening really changed the narrative about, gaming causing so much violence and everything. I think it's really shifted that now gaming is just like, I saw like this New York Post article. It was like a while back. They said how, gaming was causing so much violence. And now it's, gaming's bringing these people together who can't see each other, and they're talking, communicating. So I think the entire narrative on gaming and esports as a whole is 100% just did a 360.
Yeah, and to follow up on that, I think that's something, we've been fighting for a decade, is talking to brands, and that's always the response because it's always a spun story, right? I think something else to add on to that is that the world is realizing how global gaming is. I think gaming, Larry, I'm a fan. I grew up playing soccer my whole life. Most people in America, soccer fans like myself, we talk about how soccer is a global language. It's a global sport. I would say that certain games and certain titles, gaming community as a whole, is more international than, say, potentially the NFL or the NBA, right? It's, when we stream, we have viewers in hundreds of countries simultaneously. So the fact that there can be a positive message within the content that you're creating that can also, like we've talked about, have some impact, I think that's one of the big takeaways, is there's a lot more eyeballs in that possibility right now.
I'd also say that when you talk about brands, it's caused a lot of esports to be more real when it comes to engaging with brands, right? People talk about how brands aren't buying or brands are slowing their spend or anything like that during this time. But I think with esports, it's obviously a super unique opportunity, but you can't rely on the same pitch that people did for so long of, well, you'll get exposure to our events or all of the really basic, super easy stuff. You have to find out what actually makes you unique and what you can truly deliver that no one else can. That's not just, we're a team in this league, because if that league's not happening or they don't see you, people to actually refine what they're pitching and truly find out what's unique about them.
Yeah.
And I think from an investment side, I think that's one of our advisory board members was founder of Maker Studios, and he talked about how that came out of the housing crisis of 2008, because as brands or other investment opportunities arise, people are looking for where can they put their money that's safe during crises like this. And I think gaming has really shown to be that kind of opportunity. So I think coming out of this, as the money starts to flow again, I think you're going to see a real boon in investments in the gaming market.
Yeah, it's interesting too, like from a linear perspective. Not that like gamers really watch their content on linear, but we're starting to see a lot of these sports networks who have a shortage of sports content started to really give esports a chance and show it on linear, on ESPN, on Fox, which we weren't really seeing happen before. So I think this could kind of be the foot in the door that it needed to really continue to grow and reach a larger audience.
And I hope we find more gaming talent finding their way into influencing those broadcasts. I think it's I was at ESPN in 2013, I think, pitching gaming. So it's been a long journey to see it happen. I think what we're seeing is a proliferation of content, and now there's an opportunity for premium content. How do we really take the content we're creating and make it the quality that it deserves to be? And I think we're well on our way there.
That's awesome.
Yeah, definitely. I think also just to touch on that point, I think you'll see a lot more casual gaming fans and casual esports fans tuning in because, as I said, there's no live sports going on at the moment. So a lot of people are watching esports and getting a lot more familiar with esports. So I think the demand for esports content on linear will definitely be there. So I'm pretty sure there will be a lot more content on TV like Sky Sports and other broadcast channels that are out there.
Look at what LAFC just did. They had 1,908 viewers on their Twitch channel, period. They streamed one match between their esports player and LA Galaxy's player, and I think they had somewhere close to 300,000 viewers for that one stream compared to 1,908 in total before that. So the ability for clubs like that to rally and build an audience in gaming that can last for a long time, that's an exciting opportunity right now.
Yeah,
definitely.
Zeno, I want to chat about the Slam tournament. It's kind of interesting. It's a lot of guys are now becoming really interested in gaming, and it's almost the tournament that you've been putting on like week over week is almost serving as like a launch pad for kind of their careers and kind of expanding them to a large part. So what are you seeing as far as like athletes really kind of doubling down on the gaming space and really starting to build their brand there?
Matt, can you say that last part one more time? It's like the audio's going weird. I don't even know.
Yeah, I was saying, what are you seeing as far as like traditional athletes really starting to double down in the space, and like how is kind of your tournament helping serve as a launch pad to them?
Yeah, it's really cool. Like I think I talked to every person in the tournament like during the week, just like on some casual stuff, and they're super curious to learn like, oh, how can I make my stream quality better? How can I stop lag? How can I like fix my audio issues? So they're really kind of trying to understand the space, which I think all of us can speak of. It's not an easy space to navigate for anyone that's new. But no, they're just really taking it serious. They know this could be another, I guess, source of income for them as well. So they don't really even have to be good. Some of the guys that play in the tournament aren't like the best players, but they're learning how to kind of be entertaining, how to talk to and engage with their fans. They're trying to basically make the best out of a pretty tough situation that we're in right now.
Totally. Alex, I have a quick question for you. We've kind of chatted about this offline, but the gaming world is kind of interesting right now. And that on one side you have the ultra famous kind of entertainers, streamers, content creators. On the other side, you sort of have competitive esports players, and it's a little challenging to be both. You kind of see most people like really doubling down on one lane or the other. Do you feel like this kind of what do you see sort of this current situation do for that sort of dynamic? Does it like widen the gap? Because the people who are like really doubling down on content creation are streaming 10 to 12 hours a day, whereas like the athletes are having a little bit more trouble trying to compete right now,
Absolutely. I mean, I think ultimately where we want esports to get in the next 5 to 10 years is that perfect middle ground between the two, right? You can't have just pure competitors because they don't bring as much value as entertainers, but you also can't have pure entertainers. Otherwise, it's not esports, right? So I think you have to find a good balance of the two. And Fortnite got really close to that for a while. Obviously, some people could be way more on the entertainer side, but if they were still good enough to compete, they were perfectly fine to be in those competitions. And then you could have hardcore competitors who leaned more into the entertaining side as it became more fun. I mean, if you're playing against someone who barely knows how to play the game in a pro-am, you can have a little more fun with it and show that other side. So I think ultimately we want to get to the middle ground. Right now, it's probably a little hard for some of those competitors. And I think also a lot of competitors, if their leagues aren't happening, they're going to be playing other games just as part of their downtime, right? So I think it's a little difficult for them right now, but also it's a good opportunity. If you don't have games, you should be making content around it.
So to piggyback on that too, just going back to the tournament, there was one week where we decided to bring, like, an artist asked to be to play in the tournament, Party Next Door, and he basically was not a competitor whatsoever, and just the whole balance of the game was thrown off so much. So that's just like an example of how, like, that finding that balance really is like super hard, because at the end of the day, what we're doing really is a pro-am type thing. So yeah, we learned a valuable lesson there with him.
Sort of we're closing in on time here, but as we kind of look forward, both at the industry and sort of like each one of your guys' businesses, what can we expect? What are some sort of like immediate goals? Where you guys want to be when we sort of pick our heads up and we're coming out of this? What can we just expect from 38, LAG, Tiltify, and Slam?
So I think at 38, we're looking at different opportunities that are presenting itself after COVID. As I touched on earlier, we're looking at creating content and competitions for football clubs and athletes to engage with their audience. And as we've seen, esports is moving forward in that direction. In terms of 11s, obviously, like as in the normal traditional sports, everything's on hold at the moment in terms of the competitive scene. But in terms of content and stuff, we're pushing out a lot of content and getting a lot more eyeballs on our channel. So I think that's what we'll continue to do until we see what happens with everything.
From an esports perspective, for us, I think it's about getting the competitions back. That's the biggest part, right? We've been shifting to online. We have it. It's a very different feel. You take what you can get, but that'll be really exciting for us to get those back. I think it'll also allow us to explore more opportunities for leagues that aren't running right now. And then the biggest one, just overall, is that the stadium project that we've been working on as a company will start to be open, and hopefully we can figure out how to integrate esports there. So I think those are the next big areas for us.
I think on the Tiltify side, I think the growth is the biggest goal. We've been basically a startup for 6 years, and this has completely overloaded our staff, our developers. I mean, it's been wonderful, but I think growth on the Tiltify side is the next step. On the Humble House side, it's been really exciting watching the growth of Twitch. I mean, anyone's probably seen the stats. The first time they eclipsed Q1 of this year was the first time they eclipsed 3 billion total hours viewed on Twitch. It was a 20% jump of any previous quarter before then. So there's been an explosion in the live streaming market. I think it's an incredible opportunity to create content that engages an audience in real time. I don't think it's been explored in its entirety yet. And I think on the Humble House side, we're really excited to bring television level quality content to a live audience. I think there's a lot that can be achieved in that format. So we're really excited about that.
Cool. From a Slam point of view, we probably are one of the oldest sports companies for sure. But I think the goal for us is to continue to prove, as far as the whole esports space and gaming space, I think we're way ahead of the pack with compared to other sports companies for sure. As far as creativity, knowledge, I think we're doing everything right, and just want to keep that going.
Cool. Guys, I really appreciate it. This was super insightful, and it's awesome to see everybody kind of pushing along and kind of thriving during these crazy times. So I really appreciate it, and I personally learned a lot. I hope the audience did as well.
Appreciate it. Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us. Definitely. Great chat with everyone.
For sure. Hopefully you guys can stick around and check out some of the other panels.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Thanks, guys.
Zeno, good luck tonight.